Welcome everyone to the Let Go, Let God podcast. Happy Wednesday. I have my friend Hugo here with me today, and I'm going to pray and then I'll give him an introduction. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this sweet, sweet day. I just pray for a beautiful conversation with Hugo and I just pray that you speak through the both of us and just help this conversation to flow and help us to just talk about whatever it is that you want us to bring up. Amen?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to introduce Hugo. I don't even know how long we've known each other, but I do know that we met a few years ago. I feel like we're getting old now, so
Yeah.
I feel like it has been a while.
I want to say 2016 around there?
2016,
No,
yeah.
2020?
Maybe 2018
18?
or 19.
Yeah, around there.
Yeah, I think that's when it was. But we initially met because we worked together, and then we stayed in touch on and off, and then I had a hiking group with my church, and so he came and hiked with us, and then it kind of was a small group, so then we did some small group stuff, and then he knew I was going to text him about the podcast.
I just had a feeling.
And he's like, oh, my time's coming. It's due time for me. But I didn't realize that we hadn't talked in like 6 months. I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like a bad friend.
No. It's, we're just busy.
So anyways, that's how we met. And we've been able to sustain a pretty good relationship since then. So he is in the process of, well, you just bought a new house, right?
Yeah.
So you already bought it.
I bought a house.
Which is very exciting. It's a good milestone. And he's running a store right now, which is super cool. Good job. And I think we'll just kind of jump right into some of the questions to get going. So I want to ask you to start off, what is one good thing that is going on in your life right now, besides the house, because that's obviously super exciting?
Yeah. I think one really good thing right now that's going on in my life, it's the friends that I've created along the way. I'm really happy with the support system that I have going on. I feel whatever is going on in my life, I have someone I can talk to, or someone give me some good advice.
Yes, definitely. That's so cool. Do you feel like the community that you've built is really important to you? Like, how long have you had these like relationships that you've developed?
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny because originally it was just the people I've already known in different phases of my life, and they all kind of know what I was going through during that time. Maybe I was a bit more happier, maybe a little more sad, but it's like some of them I knew my friend Daniel for like 10 years, and I know my friend Wilson for 6 years, and my friend Juan, who we kind of worked at CVS for a little bit, and he left. I known him for around 4 to 2 years. And it's kind of nice how I was able to get them all together, and we all became like a close knit of friends, and we all really mesh well, and we all come from different backgrounds and have different experiences, but we share that together, and we're able to have some really nice adventures.
That's good. I feel like a lot of conversations that I've had with people are that they have just a lack of community and a lack of friends. So what would you say that your part was in creating that friend group again? Because I know whenever we were talking before, you didn't always have that. I honestly didn't always have that core friend group like I have now. So what would you say was your part in helping develop that? Like, what advice would you give to other people who are looking for that community?
I had to be very, very vulnerable, and
That's good.
And I had to be really real with them.
Yeah.
I think everyone feels like what they're going through is a little bit special.
Yeah.
But I think everyone kind of goes through the same things and are trying to get ahead, be it like relationship or financial, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So if you're the more vulnerable that I was and the more real I was with them, I think the more they would relate. And since we're all just kind of have the same like the same kind of things, it's we all kind of just been able to be real with each other, create the environment, and just be open. And we know that whatever we say kind of just stays there, and no one else is going to know except us.
Yeah.
And it's nice. It was just kind of hard at first being vulnerable, especially as a guy, because I think for us it's just kind of hard to like socially hard for us just to be vulnerable with each other. It's not really It's not really like a thing that guys supposed to do, but since we kind of just did that, it's nice because it's kind of like a brotherhood. That's really what I would call a brotherhood between us.
That's so cool. I've heard that guys, you can tell me if this is true or not.
Okay.
I've heard that guys bond through activities and girls bond through talking. What is your 2 cents on that?
I think we had a lot of fun activities. I think we kind of just, it's just we kind of just make each other do things that we're kind of afraid to do.
Yeah.
But I think it's nice how we push each other to like outside our comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
We do bond over activities. I think a lot of the bonding was just going out and eat and drinking.
Yeah.
And just having talks. But I would say for me personally, how my friends are, a lot of it came to talking. A lot of it talking like at a bar, talking at a restaurant, and making it a habit of a weekly thing of going to see each other. Because it's also kind of a little commitment of time commitment because if we all have to commit we all have to commit to the relationship so we can all hang out together. Mm-hmm. But I think since it's very enjoyable for us, we all just kind of do it. We just kind of expect to be there.
That's good. I think that you said something really good in there where it's the time commitment, because these days everyone's so busy. It's like, where can I pencil you into my schedule? And I think that making community a priority is probably just such a big thing, because we all have things going on, whether it's work or family or, hobbies or side things, whatever it is. And it can be so easy to put the people in our lives on the back burner. And that was something that I was really intentional about last year was, okay, people come first, and it changed everything for me, which is really cool. So I love that. And I love how you said getting deep and vulnerable, because I think that is key. So people definitely, whenever they open up, whenever one person opens up, it kind of opens the floodgates for more people to open up. And it can be challenging because people have been hurt in the past, and some people have trouble trusting other people. So creating that safe environment and kind of maybe throwing a little bit out there to kind of see how everybody reacts. But I always like to I feel like I'm always the friend who kind of just like is open first off. I'm pretty open, but I'm like, we're just going to see what happens. and it works out well. And I think that that's how I've been able to create some of the best friendships that I've ever had in my life, is just being like, listen, this is my life, this is what's going on, and I want you to be a part of the good, the bad, the ugly, the pretty, all the good things.
All in between,
So that's really cool. That's good advice for anybody out there looking for any community.
Yeah, and then just to add a little bit to that, I think like you were saying, a lot of it's just like not taking things personally too, because I text my friends, but they don't always respond to me.
Yeah, that's good.
So I just
not that that's good that they don't text you, but don't take it personally.
They're busy. Yeah, like I said, they're busy. So I'll just send them a text and I'll respond to someone another text. I think one of my friends didn't respond to any of my messages, and he just still show up. He still showed up to get me, and I'm like, bro, you came, and he was like, yeah, man, I guess weird.
That's so good. I'm so glad you said that too, because I think sometimes when I have conversations with people, and I ask them, oh, well, have you reached out to your friends? They're like, well, yeah, but they haven't really like responded or whatever. And I mean, there is a balance between, you don't want to just be continuously texting someone and they're not giving you anything back, because that's not an equal friendship. Yeah. But I think sometimes there has to be a little bit more of a pursuit on one end. And I always think too, it's like, me personally, texting, I have so many unread messages in my phone, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. It's not intentional. Yeah. But then when I see them in person, I'm like, you have my full attention. I'm so glad. I'd rather go sit down with you for coffee or a meal versus texting about all the things that are going on. So I'm glad that you said that. And it's funny too, because my best friend that I met almost a year ago, I think we were looking back at this the other day, and I think I had kind of been texting her for 3 months before we met, because she had signed up for my hiking group, and every time that we had an event, I would just text her and be like, hey, you're always invited. I didn't even know the girl at the time, but it was that continuous pursuit. And then when she came, we instantly clicked, and it was like, oh, we were best friends, But if I never continued to text her, because I could have taken it personally, like, oh, she doesn't want to see me, she doesn't want to hang out with me, even though she doesn't know me. Yeah. But I think that that's really good too. And when you see them or you meet up with someone, you can tell if it's not mutual and personal. Yeah.
For me, I just know we're all kind of close to each other, so I just know they're busy. And I think my friend Dan specifically, he was kind of glad that I kept on texting him.
Yeah.
Because he'll say he'll get anxiety from it because he just it's like, oh, it's been a day already, it's been 2 days, like it's kind of messed up if I text him back now.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, no, he's like, I appreciate that you keep on reaching out
Yeah.
because I do value the friendship, you know. And that's what it is, just valuing the relationship that him and I have.
Definitely.
And it's kind of been the same thing with everyone.
Yeah.
I think I just kind of realized that I'm not the only person in their life, and you have all the things going on.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as they're willing to make time for me, I'll just keep on inviting them to things.
Yeah, no, that's so good. I love that. And I think too, remembering that everyone is in a different season of life. So, you know, you're going to have people who are in grind mode. Like, right, my roommate, the summer is her busiest time at work. So it's a lot more challenging to hang out with her during the summer because that's when I know she's in grind mode. So I don't take that personally. I'm like, she's busy, you know? And then some people, you know, they are just newly married or maybe they got a new job or whatever, and that's where grace comes in as well, where it's like, okay, well, I'm here. I'm here waiting for you. And sometimes it'll be the opposite too. Those friends are going to pursue you in those busier times. Because even I think in our friendship, whenever I would have hikes or groups or whatever, I would always invite you, but I never took it personally like, oh, Hugo doesn't like me. He's not coming. But I knew you had, I think throughout from whenever we've known each other, you've gotten a new job, you've gone through different seasons of life. Yeah. So that's good. So let's go into the life-changing lesson that the Lord has taught you, the question of the podcast. So what would you say that has been for you up to this point?
So something that I'm always constantly reminded is just to be humble. Mm-hmm. I've been very blessed in the sense that I have been able to be around a lot of different types of people. Mm-hmm. Some very wealthy people, some very poor people, and I've been able to compete in the lowest level for soccer. I play a lot of soccer, so I was able to compete in the very lowest level, and I was able to compete in the very highest level in Arizona. And when things were going really well for me, when I was a really good athlete, I was doing good grades in school, I kind of lost it all with an injury I had in my ankle. And from being like the very best player on my team, or one of the best players on my team, I went to not being a very good player, to gaining weight and kind of losing my athleticism. Mm-hmm. And I went from that to trying to come back from it, and things going well again. But then all of a sudden, people in point in my life leave, or people kind of just, it's just kind of things just don't go as well as they were going before. And whenever I was whenever things were going really well, personally, I realized I would become kind of arrogant or just kind of overconfident. Yeah. And whenever I lost all that, it hurts. It hurts that much more. You become a bit more humble, and you realize that you ain't really all that.
You ain't all that.
And so it made me, and that kind of just, and that just kind of started teaching me how important it is to be empathetic towards people, and you don't really understand why people do things they do, and something we take it as malice, but I think we just take it that maybe they're not really aware that you're around, or they're just they're just living their own lives. Yeah. And so just being able to realize that that's not everything's about me. And I think that's kind of realized that it helped me just be a little more happy with my life.
That's so good. I think it's an ongoing life lesson because I can think of times in my life where I am doing really well. I'm like, wow, everything is going so good. And then, you kind of get on your high horse and you're like, yeah, look at me. It's not like you intentionally do that, but you're just like, I'm not worried about that. You're feeling yourself. And then something happens and it's a reality check. Yeah. And you realize, oh, okay, I need to be humble. And I think a lot of the times too, as I'm talking to different people, something that helps me with bringing it back is putting myself in the other person's shoes, or remembering the cats are playing. Remembering that lost my train of thought. Remembering that I was most likely in their position before, or a similar position, or remembering, oh, I was there. I was struggling with that. I was, doing this or that, and remembering how that felt and just putting myself back in that position. And even if you can't fully relate, you can still realize, oh, they're not exactly where I'm at, so let's just take it back.
Yeah.
So
I think, especially where I started working at, the retail store I work at, there's a lot of homeless people around, and it's very easy. I think the right word is like feeling a bit entitled, because you can always just say that like, oh, I'm unlike them, like I'm better. It's like I'm not as low as them, so you feel a
yeah,
little bit better. But I think maybe whatever, you feel some type of way, you feel good about yourself. But I think something that people like is just like getting to know them and understanding why they're at where they're at. Because I would never fully understand what it feels like to be homeless. I've never been like that.
right.
But it's just, I think it's called having a heart. You have a heart, and you just try to relate with them, and you try to see why they are where they're at. I think I just think it's just very easy to ignore, and I think they're one of the most ignored people in our society, because
Yeah.
people just see what's the inconvenience or in the way. But I think at the end of the day, it's just like it comes down to like having a heart.
Yeah, definitely. Have you ever, I wasn't going to ask you this question, but since you brought it up,
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Have you ever went and talked to any of the homeless
Oh
people
yeah.
around your work area?
When they come into the store, I think I
Yeah.
used to be really mean to them. I'm not gonna lie. That's how I used to be.
Yeah.
But after a while, I think I don't remember what I heard something, but it had the same with respect. And I think I started treating them a bit more when you come into the store. It's never nice to see them inside the store,
Hmm.
but when they start coming in, I started treating them with a bit more respect, with a bit more dignity, and then my interaction with them have been a lot better.
Yeah.
And they don't they because they expect it. They expect to like
They expect
to
to be
be followed
treated.
around. Yeah, just be
Yeah.
treated like be treated unfair like not other people.
Yeah.
But when you treat them a bit differently, they change their personality, and they start acting with
That's
dignity,
good. Yeah.
and they start acting like a regular human, like
Hmm.
oh how like most people would act, because that's what they are. They're humans, just like everyone
Right.
else. So it's just it's nice. I think I made a friend. I helped one of them get a job. That's okay.
That's
I
awesome.
I helped one of them just buy them food or water,
Yeah.
and other times I just kind of let them take what they want, not you know. But it's just
Right.
never. I like I said, it's from like a humility standpoint, it's just I don't take it personally anymore. I think
Yeah.
it's been that's part where I think I grew the most working
Yeah.
there.
That's probably helped too, I can imagine, because it sounds like your heart was a little bit hardened
Hmm.
towards them at the beginning. And then you're like, well, I'm going to be encountering them all the time. And so might as well, change that heart posture. And it sounds like it's kind of opened up your eyes and your heart to, okay, they are just humans. We don't know their situation. We don't know how they got there. And I can say the same thing where I've felt the way that you felt previously, and then when you do have a chance to talk to them or see them or whatever, you kind of realize, wow, like God loves them,
Yeah,
they're human. Like, again, you don't know their situation. I'm very blessed to have a family and have always been provided for and taken care of, but I don't know, you know if I had lived a different life, who knows
yeah.
where I would be.
And I think I don't know. And this is like from my experience. So I gotta talk from my experience. But from when I realized a lot of it's just like a mental health thing. They seem like they don't
Yeah.
all seem there, and that
Yeah.
could be for a lot of reasons, right? But I just think you know, there's I think when I was in high school, and I kind of forgot about this, and I was reminded when I started treating them with them with more respect. But it just I had a teacher who told me that they're just somebody else's child. Someone held them in their arm at one point and told them I
Mm.
want to give them the best stuff I can give them.
Yeah,
And
that's a good point.
and then that's someone that's like that could be someone's dad or who knows.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of that not everyone has the same resources that we have.
Yeah.
And it's just if someone, and there's been countless people who helped me throughout my life just to help me.
Hmm.
So why can't I just be that for somebody else? And that's kind of
Yeah.
how I see it. But
Good.
it took me a while to get there. It was hard, and it was a lot of internal struggles, a lot of mistakes that I did, and a lot of reflecting that I had to do,
Yeah.
and a lot of uncomfortable situations that I put myself in. But
Yep.
after working through it, it's been nice. I
Yeah.
think I'm happier for it.
That's good. Yeah. A lot of the uncomfortable situations, they show the most growth
Yeah,
and they get you where God wants you to be. So I know that one of the biggest areas of life that you had mentioned that you got freedom in was learning how to become like who God created you to be. So I
yeah,
feel like it's just a great segue because, man, that is, I think that's one of the coolest things that anybody can experience, because I experienced that over the past 6 months, maybe a little bit longer. I've just been praying, God, help me to become Erika Ray Miranda, like, help me to become like who you created Erika to be. And it's a powerful prayer because I feel like I lost a lot of my earthly identity whenever I did that, but this was so much better.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's so cool. So tell me a little bit about your freedom in that area of your life.
Yeah. So I would just go. I think, and this is pretty recent. I think for the most part, I always just been a people pleaser, and I just did what was expected of me, and I acted how I should. I felt like I should have acted, and and sometimes like an intrusive thought will come in. I want to say something, but I just don't say it because I just like, oh, that won't be funny, or that won't be, people won't like that. But I had one of my friends just call me out on it, and he just straight up told me, he's like, Hugo, you're just a people pleaser, and I was like, what? I was like kind of shocked, but. And I just saw him and how he was. And he said whatever was in his head, whatever he acted, how he wanted to act. And he didn't care what people thought about him. He didn't care what people would say about him. And after just being around him enough time, it kind of rubbed off on me. And now I just say what, I just feel more free. And I just kind of say what's in my head and what I feel like saying. Obviously, like, not to offend anyone, but you know what I mean? But just like, I just gotta be me. And I gotta be, I don't do things I don't want to do anymore. I just do things that like make me happy and make me feel free, make me what I want to be doing at the moment. And if someone disagrees with what I'm doing, I don't really let it affect me as much because I feel like by the end of the day, like either I please them or I please myself.
Yeah, that's good.
It just sounds very selfish. I'm not trying to sound selfish.
No, I get what you're saying because I'm a people pleaser just by nature, and I can remember in high school and college, I would just let myself get stepped all over because there were a lot of times, and there's still so many times, I'm such a low maintenance gal that I really don't care what happens. A lot of times I'm like, we can do whatever you guys want, But there were definitely times where that portrayed as letting people almost give me my worth because I just let them kind of push me around the way that they wanted, and I was letting them depict my worth. I said, okay, well, if this is what you say I should be doing or whatever, then it's probably just how much I'm worth, pretty much. And so someone had brought that to my attention, and kind of like your friend, hey, you need to stop letting yourself get stepped on. And it took me by surprise because
you don't expect it. Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean? And then I had thought about it and thought about specific examples, and I think there's a good balance of being that people pleaser because I think that I still am naturally. It sounds like you still are naturally, but just learning how to say what you feel, like give your opinion. And I feel like I've stepped into more of a light leader role. I used to always be a follower. I'd be the one in the group projects that would just be like, tell me what to do, guys, and I'll do it. But now I'm running the show. No, I'm just kidding. I still am like that a lot. But I do like to plan things or, to orchestrate things or whatever that may be. So I think there's a balance for sure.
No, there's definitely a balance. I think for me, what's been nice was like as I said, I think I used to worry so much about other people around me having fun that I wouldn't have fun. But now it's more about like this is what I want to do, and let's say I'm planning something like you, like I'm saying I'm planning something, and say this is what I want to do and what we like to do. What do you guys think about that? And for the most part, they all agree with me because I think no one really wants to like think of something to do. They just kind of do what someone tells them to do.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's nice, and and so we end up doing things that I like to do. And whenever someone else offers something, it's a give and take, right? When someone else offers something, then it's their turn to choose, and I go with them. But it's just it's nice. I think I don't feel like I'm not being myself anymore because I think I did feel trapped. I feel like I couldn't be me.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like it felt suffocating. But now I think people like me more, which is weird, right? Because now I'm more myself, and I feel like people like me more. People
that's so true.
Yeah, and they enjoy being around you more, and I don't feel so uptight anymore. And I think that's in a way it's charming for some people, and for me that's what I think for my friend that's why I like being around him so much because I saw how charming it was for him to be himself, and he made it look so easy, which it is easy, but
it is, yeah.
But for me during that time in my life, it just felt so difficult. Like I didn't think it almost seemed impossible. But over time and over practice and a lot of uncomfortable situations, I came out better.
Yeah. That's so good. I think that becoming your genuine self, becoming who God created you to be, it's going to attract those friends that we were talking about
Yeah.
earlier. It's going to just put you right in the spots that God wants you to be, you know? And I want to say this to anybody that's listening. I remember, I think it was back in November of last year. A pastor spoke into me and he said, Erika, you need to pray to ask God help you find out who he originally designed you to be. So I've done that. Sounds like you've done that. It's a powerful prayer. So add that to the prayer list if you feel lost in your identity. It's like, hey, God, please help show me who you've created me to be. And fair warning, I don't know if this happened to you, but for me, God started stripping away some things,
Yeah.
and not all of it was fun, but I will say all of it has been worth it so far to this point.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta break down your own ego, right? Because you
There
gotta
you
you
go,
gotta
yeah.
think you think you're perfect. You like to think that you're perfect, or there's nothing wrong with you,
Right.
but you kind of just have to work through those.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I was going through some of your other answers that I had asked you for some of your questions, and I asked you what is the time in your life where you felt really far away and distant from God. And you said, I think it was during the pandemic and then after the pandemic
Yes.
a little bit. So this kind of circles back into the whole community and friends thing. And you had written down you couldn't be around people, but you couldn't be alone.
Yeah.
And I was like, we need to dissect this thing because that's so interesting.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people probably felt like that during the pandemic and also maybe are still feeling like that or are still trying to navigate that because you're isolated and then you're back immersed in the world, and it was just like so many unnatural things that were happening. So explain that to me.
Yeah. So what I meant by that is just I think the best way to put it was like a depression. I was definitely depressed.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that I didn't really know it was depression because it just affects everyone differently. In the past, before this, I was really angry, but this time I just felt really like empty, lonely, and I just like didn't want to be alone. But then when I was around people, I just couldn't behave. No, I was like, yeah, I
Yeah.
get irritated. I would get irritated, and I just wanted to be alone. But then begin with, I didn't want to be alone to begin with. It's just you're
Yeah.
not satisfied with anything.
Yeah.
And so during the pandemic and all that, I remember just I would come back from work and I'll be in my car and I'll come back from work, I'll drive home, and then I'll just be outside my house parked. And I remember just being really, really sad and just kind of sadness where you don't know why you're sad, but you just
Yeah,
feel
that's the
so.
worst.
Yeah, it's like
It's a
you know,
terrible feeling.
and it was like that for almost a year, just like that
Oh
same
my goodness.
sadness.
Yeah.
But you just don't. I never really sat down and like understood why I was sad.
Yeah.
So one of the first relationships, and during this time, I didn't really have any friends, during the pandemic, and we would just play video games together. But we didn't have like that, like the interaction. So one of the first relationships I had to fix to get out of the slump. I remember it was so I celebrate Lent, so it was during the Lent season, and I remember going to church and just crying. We had a little prayer and I started
Good
crying.
cry.
Yeah, I was like, I was in the back and I remember tearing up and I just remember asking like, just like, I don't know what I have to do. I don't know what's going on. Like, just God, please help me. Please help me understand what I'm going through. And and I'll do whatever I have to do. So I remember that during that season, I gave up something that was very difficult for me to give up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I did it for like, I didn't make it all the way through, but I think for like 2 weeks I did it. And then after that, I kind of like made it easier for myself.
Yeah.
But during the Lent season this year, I remember back when I asked him for help and how much how much better my life got from that. And so I did the same thing again, and this time I did it I made it through the 40 days. But it was just I've always been grateful for when he helped me during that time because it was very, very difficult for me, and I'm really surprised I actually got out of it, but it's helped, and now I can now that feeling, and then now when I drive home sometimes, I don't have that feeling anymore, and I feel like I can. I
love
don't.
that.
Yeah, I don't feel like I don't feel that emptiness anymore. I don't feel that loneliness anymore, and I feel like whatever I was lacking, I fixed it.
when you felt that depression, because I've felt that before, where it's like you're sad and you don't know why you're sad,
Yeah.
and it feels like you're gonna be sad forever. So when you were feeling that, did you ever feel like, oh gosh, like this is just, I'm just never gonna get out of this?
Uh, I kind of always knew I was a problem.
Mm.
I just didn't know how to fix it.
Yeah, you didn't know
So
what to do. You
yeah,
felt stuck.
yeah, I just felt stuck, and I think I always had good. I think there was self-efficacy, so I always just kind of always believe I can get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a good like struggle of trying to figure out what it was,
Mm-hmm.
and what I came to realize was the people during that life weren't the best people for me personally, but they were filling in a void I had in me, and looking back at it, that person was a reflection of what I was missing inside,
Mm.
and that's why I kept them around. But once I like let them go because they weren't healthy for me, and I started kind of like working through my problems and starting to understand what I was feeling, it made it more clear what I needed, who I needed in my life, who I didn't need in my life, and what actions I needed to take to become better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. Oh, I'm glad that you were able to pull yourself out of that, because, like I said, from personal experience, I know that whenever I've felt like that before, it's really challenging to do anything,
Yeah.
because you feel stuck and you're like, what do I do? And so, cat's moving the frame. And so I think I think that it reminds me of
Oh my goodness.
I think that it reminds me of that Bible verse that you wrote down. And I'm going to read it because it's really good. It's Luke 11, 9 through 10. Wants to be the center of attention. Jeez. So Luke 11, 9 through 10 says, "And I tell you, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives, and the one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks it will be opened." So this is scripture right here.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the times as Christians we can say, oh, just pray, ask God for the answer. And we're not just saying that to say that. He tells us to do that, and it sounds like that's what you did. You went into church and you had a moment with God and you cried and you let him speak to you.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the times that's just what we need to do. And I had someone say to me just the other day something that really hit me, because I was feeling stuck in an area. And he said to me, Erika, a good question to ask is, ask God what you need, because he already knows what you need. And it's okay that you don't know.
Oh, that's true.
But ask him to show you what you need. And so I started doing that literally a couple days ago, because I would feel stuck. And I think I would go into my quiet time thinking, oh, I should already know what to ask God for or know what to pray to God for. But then I realized I didn't know, or I felt stuck. So I've been asking God, okay, God, what do I need today? I don't even know what I need.
Yeah.
And I just started doing this, but I feel as though this weight has been lifted off my shoulder, and I'm like, oh, okay. I think I'm starting to get some answers. So that's a really good thing. And I'm glad that I know you had said that was a couple of your favorite verses.
Yeah, because I just kind of felt like I had a mentor, or like he was. I think in college I was going to Chi Alpha. I was in Chi Alpha, and then he just told me he really paraphrased that verse saying, "Asking you receive," and I always just kind of ask for wisdom, and I feel like even like during, I always just kind of ask for what I needed for God, and it just kind of always been I've been fortunate that he's been helping me out.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, so good. Man, I think we covered a lot of good bases. We got into community and being humble, not taking things personally. I think there was some good pieces of advice in there on how to communicate with God, how to, gain some community as well. So lots of good nuggets in there.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you would like to say as we close?
Just be a kind person.
Be a kind person. Yes. Be a kind being. The world needs more kind people out there, and we need to be the light in this dark world. So awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Erika,
for coming on. You knew it was coming, and thank you for saying yes and for taking the time to talk to me and everyone else. I know lots of people are going to get some good stuff out of it. So
I hope so.
yes, they will. So until next time, guys. Bye.
Bye.